Devil May Cry 3 is one of the best comeback stories for any game, developed by Capcom and released in 2005. Just 2 years after the disappointing DMC2, they managed to make one of the best combat systems on the PlayStation 2. It took everything great about the first DMC and improved it to near perfection, making one of the most influential games in this genre. Just like the first game, I'm not incredible at this one. I normally get B ranks at the end of missions and sometimes get A rank if I'm lucky, so that'll be my perspective on this. Which might be a nice change if you watch a lot of DMC content on YouTube, as everyone else seems to get S ranks like it's nothing. So how is DMC 3 for someone who's just alright at it? Let's find out. I'm going to start with a story. This is a prequel to the first game. You play as a young Dante who is just starting up his demon hunting business. He hasn't come up with a name for it yet. The literal start of the first cutscene is Dante flipping a chair by kicking it. It looks slick and over the top and sets the tone quite nicely for the game. A man called Arkham comes in Dante's shop and gives him an invitation from Virgil, Dante's brother. This is where Dante is attacked by a group of demons in a really sick and stylish cutscene. I saw this and thought, we're so back, baby! There's just so much life in the animation and it's really well shot, and over the top compared to DMC2. It's a fantastic way to reintroduce Dante. Every cutscene has at least one cool or stylish moment in it. They're a treat to watch. After beating the demons, Dante goes outside and puts on his iconic coat in a super over the top way. This is where a giant tower shoots out of the ground in the distance. It reaches the clouds. It looks very similar to the depictions of the Tower of Babel. One demon gets away from Dante and flies up to the top of the tower where he's killed by Virgil. This is where we're introduced to him. He kills the demon by stabbing it whilst his back is to him. The demon doesn't fall over till Virgil slowly sheaths his sword, kinda like in Kill Bill. He does this a lot as his signature move and is always cool when it happens. Virgil has a chat with Arkham where he basically tells you their plan. They want to open a way to the demon world so they can get power. Dante and Virgil's dad, Sparta, sealed the demon world years ago. The only way it can open if the Sons of Sparta's amulets to be combined. The next cutscene shows a mysterious woman with a rocket launcher heading towards the tower on a motorcycle. So that's the setup. Dante must enter the tower and confront his brother and Arkham and stop them. It's a good setup, especially compared to DMC2. All the main players are introduced, you know what everyone's trying to accomplish, you know what the stakes are, and you have your goal as the player. The story gets better from here. Dante has his personality back, he's so cocky throughout, and he has plenty of one-liners. There's a few Bruce Lee woos for fun. His dynamic with Virgil is interesting. They are twins but the opposite of each other, with their goals, how they act and even how they dress. Dante wears a red coat, has his hair down, no shirt, is loud and a bit reckless in his actions. Whilst Virgil wears a blue coat with a full suit underneath, has his hair up, is calm, quiet and very deliberate in his actions. It's a real treat to see them play off each other, and their fight scenes together are peak, some of the coolest shit I ever saw when I was a young warthog. The part I always remember is when Dante shoots at Virgil with bullets, and Virgil catches them all with his katana, puts them on the ground and swings them back at Dante. It's so badass. Cutscenes at the start of missions always have the number of that mission hidden in the cutscene somewhere, so keep an eye out. Cutscenes also end with bullets cracking the screen, which is a satisfying sound effect, which I always thought was sick looking. The story is one of the best in the series and ends in a satisfying way. I'm going to go into the spoilers now, go to this timecode to skip spoilers. Shortly after in the tower, Dante fights a boss called Cerberus. He has ice powers. Dante takes the piss out of him for a bit and proceeds to kick his ass. This is the boss that's kinda like an exam for the rest of the game. You could probably button mash your way up until this point. This is the first enemy to actually test you on what you have learned. If you can't beat him, you're definitely not ready for the rest of the game. Once defeated, the three-headed ice dog turns into free ice nunchuck for Dante to use. This is how pretty much every boss fight plays out. This is where Dante and Lady meet for the first time. Lady hates demons. She immediately shoots a rocket at Dante, which he manages to dodge, jump on top of, ride around for a bit and use it to open a door. So sick. Lady is here to kill her father Arkham. He sacrificed her mother in order to gain demon powers. So this is why Lady hates demons. She's really good at fighting demons considering she's only human. She can pull off some insane feats, so I thought it was going to be revealed that she is part demon or something. But no, she's a regular human, which I'm not a huge fan of as it makes demons seem less of a threat of how easy she takes them out. To be fair, you only see her take out low level demons in this game and it takes her a lot longer than Dante to do it. There is this bit later on where Dante leaves her to fight a room full of demons by herself, whilst he goes off and completes 2 missions, and by the time he gets back she's barely managed to kill them all, so it's not like she's OP or anything. At some point, trying to make his way up the tower, Dante can't get past a door. This is where a jester appears with a long nose. He's weird. Dante immediately tries shooting him, but he dodges all the bullets. Jester helps Dante open the door, then disappears in a strange interaction, but it's important for later. Eventually, Dante gets to the top of the tower where he has his first fight with Virgil. This game sets up the blueprint of how to do rivalries in games. You fight Virgil 3 times in this game, Dante loses the first, they draw on the second, and Dante wins the last. This is a great way to do this. Losing to him on the first time shows how much of a threat Virgil is. It also makes you the player want to beat him because now you have more of a grudge against him. They do this cool thing where they're both swinging their swords so fast they kill all the rain around them for a bit, so it looks like the rain just stops for a few seconds. I thought this happens in this cutscene, but it's the intro. So rad looking. This mission's cutscene is incredibly well shot, it has so much style and energy to it. This is the first time Dante and Virgil have seen each other in over a year. This is where you find out Virgil is obsessed with gaining Sparta's power. He asks Dante why he doesn't seem to care about gaining the power of their dad. Dante says he doesn't have a father. It really shows their differences. They are both half demon, half human. Virgil cares more about his demon side and Dante cares more about his human side. It also suggests that Sparta wasn't around when they were kids, so Dante cared more about his mum, who was human. Whereas Virgil cared more about his dad, so he embraced his demon side. This isn't a fact, just how I interpreted the scene. Virgil manages to beat Dante and stabs him with his own sword. He then takes Dante's half of the amulet in the process. Virgil then is about to leave with Arkham. But Dante jumps up and is glowing, he's just unlocked his devil trigger. Kinda weird that in order to gain access to your demon half you have to get stabbed with your own sword. Which isn't stated in this game, it gets confirmed in 5 from what I remember. This also happens in DMC 1 when he gets stabbed by Alistair, so it's a strange thing that happens in this universe. Dante passes out and Arkham tells Virgil to leave him as they have everything they need. After Dante wakes up, he goes after Virgil and jumps off the building, in another sick cutscene where he kills a bunch of demons on the way down. He's falling so fast that fire starts to spark beneath him like a meteoroid crashing into the earth. Like, I know I'm probably going to show these cutscenes whilst I'm talking about them, but if you haven't seen them before, do yourself a favour and watch them on YouTube. Once Virgil reaches the portal to the demon world, he kills Arkham because he has no more use for him. Virgil then tries to open the portal, which is at the very bottom of the tower. After a lot of gameplay, Dante makes it down to where Arkham was killed. Lady shows up behind him, they have a chat whilst fighting, where Lady gives Dante her backstory. They bond over the fact they both have messed up families. Lady stays behind where it turns out her dad isn't totally dead yet. Arkham convinces Lady that Virgil possessed him to kill her mother, then dies. So Lady wants to kill Virgil now. Some more missions happen, Jester shows up to help Dante again at some point. Eventually Dante catches up to Virgil, who can't get the portal open. He has put the two amulets together, put his own blood on it, but it still hasn't opened. So he assumes he needs more of the blood of Sparta, so he decides to use Dante. This is where the second boss fight happens. This time he has a new weapon, the gauntlets from the first game. A bit earlier on a boss managed to escape Dante, so he didn't get a weapon from it. That boss ran into Virgil and he took the weapon instead. So this motherfucker basically stole one of our upgrades. After both brothers have been weakened because of their fight, Lady appears to kill Virgil. She's like, you forced him to do it, and Virgil says, so cold, is that what you think? Foolish girl. Jester then appears, threatens to spank Lady, and then reveals himself to be Arkham. During the cutscene he will switch between Jester and Arkham, which is very well choreographed. He then spills some of Lady's blood because it's the same blood as her mother's, which he sacrificed before I think. This was his plan all along, he needed everyone's blood in order to open the gate. That's why he helped Dante earlier on, to get everyone into this room. Everyone teams up to corner Arkham, but it's too late as a pillar starts to raise from the ground. Sending Virgil and Lady down into the ground, Dante jumps off to save Lady. The pillar raises all the way back to the top of the tower. Lady tells Dante it's her responsibility to stop Arkham because it's her father and demons like him wouldn't understand. I think this strikes a chord with Dante. This is the point where he's accepted it's his responsibility to do what his father did and seal the demon world again. Before this he was just trying to get to his brother and fight demons for fun. After a few missions, Dante rides a motorcycle up the side of the tower in yet another cool as fuck action scene. Where he meets up with Lady near the top of the tower, they have a fight because Dante says she can't fight these stronger demons. After an annoying boss fight with her, Dante convinces her that he needs to be the one to stop it as it's his family that started this whole mess. Lady gives Dante her rocket launcher which is named after her mother, which I thought was a nice detail. After a few more missions, with one where you have to fight every boss in the game again, in a row, very Capcom-y, Dante manages to catch up with Arkham, who has fully powered himself up and turned into a big purple blob thing. After getting him to half health, Dante realises he can't beat him alone. Fortunately, Virgil appears, basically says on your left, and the two work together to kill Arkham. They defeat him by each taking one of Dante's guns, aiming at him and saying jackpot, which is what they used to say as kids. It's a lovely moment. The guns aren't that powerful during gameplay, but I'm not going into that. Their armlets appear to fall down a hole where both brothers jump in after it. Arkham's body is back in his human form on top of the tower where Lady is waiting. She hesitates when shooting him. He then goes off about how he's done nothing wrong and he didn't regret killing her mother. Not a smart play in my opinion. He then says help me Mary and she responds, Mary died a long time ago, my name is Lady, and shoots him a bunch of times and cries. Such a cool moment. Weird that she wants to be called Lady. Dante only calls her that because he doesn't know her name. Even when he learns it, he still calls her Lady. So this is the final fight. Dante and Virgil are in the demon world. Virgil still wants his father's power. Dante tries to convince him not to fight, but they still do. The portal to the human world starts to close because the amulets aren't together. They charge at each other one last time. Dante wins. Virgil walks towards the edge of the cliff and tells Dante to go if he doesn't want to get trapped here. Virgil wants to stay because it is his father's home. Then he jumps off the cliff. Dante, obviously upset, heads back to the human world. Where the tower has been destroyed and Lady is waiting, he gives back the rocket launcher. Lady asks Dante if he's crying, he's like, no, it's just the rain, even though it's not raining. Dante says devils never cry, because all these games have to end with this line apparently. Lady responds, maybe even a devil can cry when he loses a loved one. Which is a lovely ending in my opinion. It's clearly where Dante got the name for his shop. Demons show up for you to fight when the credits are rolling. That's the end of the game. There are some after credit scenes where Dante is in his DMC1 outfit looking at his shop sign. And I remember there being another one where Virgil is in the demon world and he sees Mundus' form from the first game in the sky, hinting at what's going to happen in DMC1. But that might be at the end of Virgil's campaign. So yeah, it's a really good story. There's themes of power, identity, sibling rivalry. The characters are likeable and cool. I actually understood what was happening, which was nice compared to DMC2. Cutscenes are well shot and action is incredibly well choreographed. Voice acting is good across the board, which is why they kept these voice actors for the rest of the series. Dante sounds young and cocky, whilst Virgil has this navelly sound. He comes off as so condescending, which is great. The humour lands is not overused. So I've said my piece about the story, let's move on to the gameplay. Essentially it's the same as DMC1, but everything has been improved. Combat plays the same, you press the attack buttons with delays between inputs to perform different moves. You can lock on and depending on which way you point the dialogue stick you can perform different moves as well. Compared to DMC1 I found performing different moves easier. One of the new things they added in this game is the style system, an absolute game changer. You can pick from 4 different styles at the start of the game and unlock 2 more by the end. Styles can drastically change how you play and change your strategy when dealing with enemies. Style changes what your B or circle button does. You can only have one equipped at a time. The default style is Trickster and this is probably the best one to have if it's your first time playing. This is basically a dedicated dodge button. When pressed, Dante will teleport a short distance. This can also be used in the air. Incredibly useful whilst you're getting used to the game, as dodging by locking on and moving a stick can be a bit tricky to master. The second style, and my go-to, is the Sword Master. This gives you an extra melee move. On the ground, Dante will spin his sword which can launch enemies. I found the air attack more useful. Dante's default air attack will have him slam into the ground. The Sword Master air attack keeps Dante in the air to attack in front of him. I found this quite useful against certain bosses like Cerberus and the Flying Worm. Each weapon gets its own Sword Master move. The first style is Gunslinger. I don't really use this one. This gives you more moves with your guns. So for the pistols you can fire them in different directions like you could in DMC2. With the shotgun, Dante will shoot around his body and use them like nunchucks. Looks slick but I'm not sure how useful it is. The fourth style is everyone on YouTube's favourite, Royal Guard. It's the most difficult to master but it's insanely useful. You can block any attack in the game if you time it right, and send the damage you would have taken back at the enemy. It's fun to use. Some people beat the entire game only using Royal Guard. I don't use it myself, I prefer to be offensive to defensive. The last 2 styles won't get unlocked until later in the game. You can level up your style so you do more stuff. This takes a long time. It took me 13 whole missions to max out Swordmaster. This is why I haven't used these last 2 styles much. These last 2 styles use up Devil Trigger to use, adding a bit more strategy. Quicksilver allows you to slow down time for everyone, but Dante still moves the same speed, which can obviously be super useful. Lastly, Doppelganger spawns another Dante, which you can control at the same time. From what I played, he seems to copy your moves, so this can basically double your damage output. Your goal in combat is still to look as stylish as possible. You still get rank from D to S at the end of each mission. The criteria to get higher ranks are the same as in DMC1, but it does seem more lenient than the first. Because of this, I had way more orbs than I did in the first game, meaning I could buy more moves and items from the shop. There is this one move that's super fun where you can jump on an enemy that's down and ride him around the area. Whilst in combat, the style meter still appears with some changes this time. You still have to use a variety of attacks to get it up, repeating moves will stop it raising. They have added 2 extra ranks, so this time you can get double S and triple S. There is also a bar underneath the letter now showing you how far away you are from the next rank. I love this change. You can see when you need to switch out your moves to keep the bar going up. There are stats you can find that can be broken by getting a high enough style rank with a specific weapon. I like these as they test if you actually know how to use the weapon properly. It does feel a lot easier to get S ranks compared to DMC1. This is because you have so many more moves to pull off thanks to the different styles and the godsend weapon swapping. In this game you can now equip 2 guns and 2 melee weapons and swap between them at the press of the triggers, right to swap melee, left to swap guns. This is one of the best features they added to this game. It's super fun to switch between swinging your sword, shooting a rocket and hitting demons with nunchucks. This also helps with the style meter. If it starts going down, switch to your weapon. The fun comes to find out which weapons pair nicely with each other. What weapon combo flows nicely into another. It can be a lot to keep track of, but it's incredibly satisfying to pull off a long combo. Weapon variety is crazy in this game compared to DMC1. Dante starts with his classic Rebellion sword, which is as good as ever. He can eventually unlock ice nunchucks, a pair of wind and fire swords, his gauntlet and boots from the first game, and a guitar that shoots out electric bats. All the weapons have the same button inputs to perform combos, but all do very different things with very different timings. Then there are the guns. They are back to how they were in the original and not OP like they were in DMC2. I found I used the pistols more often in this game compared to DMC1. They seemed quicker to me because I had the bar and the style meter. I could actually see what they were contributing to my combo. Dante can lock a lot of guns this time around. The shotgun and demon gun make a return from the original. A sniper and a rocket launcher have been added to this time. They're slow to use but do high damage. I didn't find myself using these though. I much preferred the pistols to keep the combo going until I was close enough to melee attack. This encouraged me to be as stylish as possible because of how fun it was, unlike the original where my focus was just on survival. Which is strange as I probably died more in DMC3 than the original. This may be because the game doesn't punch failure as much compared to DMC1. At the start of this game you pick between gold and yellow. I didn't know what these meant, I picked gold. Turns out this is how checkpoints work. If you pick gold, when you die you can restart at the checkpoint, but if you pick yellow it works like it did in DMC1 where you have to restart the mission unless you have a gold orb. I'm glad they give you the option. If you want a more brutal experience you can have it, but I'm going to stick with the gold option. If you die 3 times it comes up with easy mode now selectable, and I don't know if anyone else finds this insulting. As soon as I saw it I was like, fuck you game, I'm not picking that. Having a mission select screen is also very helpful. If you are struggling and need more items or moves you can go back and replay earlier missions to get orbs, which is great. Compare this with the original where if you were stuck and couldn't afford more stuff you would basically have to get really good or start the game again. There are a good amount of different enemy types this time around. They all have different moves and different gimmicks for you to figure out. Most of them are fun to fight but some can be pretty annoying. Like these ones that have a giant shield on their front meaning you have to hit them from behind, or these red birds that multiply and have to be shot in order to turn to stone. My least favourite are these smoke clouds, when you just have to wait for them to appear to do damage to them. The highlight of this game is the boss battles. There are way more this time around. A lot of bosses may seem challenging at first but there's normally something you can do to make things easier on yourself. The first boss looks like the Grim Reaper. He's there to teach you how to dodge. When you hit him sometimes he'll block all of your attacks and try to counter you, meaning you should dodge. Bosses like the Flying Worm and the Horse of the Carriage can be jumped on to get hits on and to avoid attacks. The Red and Blue brothers can be tricked into hitting each other. The most annoying boss for me was Lady. She tends to hit you from afar and run away. I found it pretty annoying chasing her down. I also wasn't a fan of the Vampire Woman. I had to kind of wait around for an opening, which for me were few and far between. It feels like I was missing something. The best fights are with Virgil. He is quick, tough and has lots of different moves. He has his own devil trigger to heal himself and will try to counter you if you're being too offensive. The last fight with him feels truly epic and is extremely satisfying to overcome. Virtual fights also feel quite cinematic, like the first fight is in the rain with a giant moon as the backdrop. There's a good reason these fights are so iconic. Outside of combat, everything is the same as it was in DMC1. You're back to the slower speed of that game when walking about, platforming is still ass. The jumps feel stiff, he tends to overshoot or undershoot platforms I was trying to land on. It took me a long time to get this one blue orb. Puzzles are about the same, none are too difficult. Most of them are still finite and bring it somewhere. There are slightly more challenging ones scattered throughout, like a riddle you need to solve in one room, or this light bouncing puzzle which I managed to solve without thinking. Lucky me. The variety in levels is spectacular. The game basically only takes place in the tower, so you'd think everything would look the same. This is not the case. There are lots of places for you to fight your way through, like a destroyed city, a cavern, inside the belly of a creature, a church, on a railway cart, the demon world, and my favourite looking one is this MC Escher inspired place. Fortunately there are no underwater levels this time around, praise the Lord. Environments have a moody gothic feel which I'm a big fan of. The game mostly uses fixed cameras which can sometimes look gorgeous and other times can get in the way. In some areas you can control the camera, which is the first for this series. It works well for their first attempt. Music is as great as ever with a heavy rock/metal soundtrack which pairs nicely with the combat's energy. The main combat song for Dante, Taste of Blood, always sounds like Power Man 5000 When Worlds Collide to me. Once you beat the game you unlock Bloody Palace where you can fight waves after waves of enemies to see if you can get to the top. You also unlock the ability to play as Virgil. He gets a whopping 2 unique cutscenes in his playthrough. It's the same levels as Dante's, but when you fight Virgil he has a red coat now to help you tell the difference between them. He has his own moves and a different playstyle. Instead of guns he can summon swords that fly towards the enemies, which can be used whilst attacking, unlike Dante's guns. If you like the combat, therefore have a mess around with Virgil, he can be quite fun. Overall an absolute blast with DMC3. It saved the franchise and laid the groundwork for so many action games to follow. The story was really good, cutscenes were entertaining as hell to watch, the characters were cool, and I understand their motivations. Combat is incredibly fun, super stylish and challenging. The game is more forgiving than the first, which is a plus for me. The pacing may dip in the middle of the game, but that's not enough to stop me playing through this every few years. Time to rank it. Honestly this is tough, it's gotta be top 3. It's going above Vampire Survivors which is extremely fun but doesn't have a story or cool iconic characters, so DMC is going above that. Now, do I prefer Eternal Darkness? It's got a unique way of telling its story and sanity mechanics which I loved. It has a similar horror atmosphere as DMC3, but the combat obviously isn't as good. But then again, it's not a combat focused game. I guess it's gotta come down to what would I rather play again right now. I think it's gotta be DMC3. If I replayed Eternal Darkness, I might change my mind, but as of right now, Devil May Cry 3 is our new number 1. That was hard. Well, that's it, Demon Slayers. I'm gonna go do something sick, stylish, and savage.